So I attempted another game jam. Once again, the Godot Wild Game Jam. I say attempted because I was unable to complete it in the allotted time. I had 2 days to do it, and it took me longer than those 2 days. But after the time limit was finished, I decided that, you know what, I know what game I wanted to make, and I'm making this game, dang it. So that's what this is. This was me finishing this game after the game jam. So this game's called Flicker. You play this little guy with a flashlight who walks around this place trying to collect his missing coins. But there are ghosts who are trying to get you, and you better not let them. Don't get spooked. I think this game does a number of things well. I like the effects of the ghosts' eyes fading. I really like it when they're darting towards you and you can see them, but their eyes are starting to fade away. I think the controls feel good. I actually changed the controls up a bit. You used to be able to move independently of where you were pointing, so you can walk backwards while pointing forwards, or pointing your light forwards. Backwards and forwards doesn't make sense in this context. See, backwards, forward. Anyway, you could walk in a different direction than your light was pointing. But it turns out the juggling is a lot more fun than being able to overpower everything by just spinning around. There's a GMTK talk where they talk about marketability. And one thing they mention is GIFs and being able to sell your game in a GIF. And that's something I think this game does really well. I think you could really sell this game in a GIF. I think it has the potential for that. And I think it's fun, and oh my gosh, I just died. Failure. So as I just said, this was an attempt. I did not complete the game in a lot of time, so that was failure number 1. I spent a lot of time attempting things that didn't work. Like, initially I wanted to have that cute and spooky kind of art style to the game, and I was wanting to achieve this by drawing out my sprites on paper and then taking them into the computer. And I still think the idea of manually drawing a tile set has some potential, but it's not the time saver that I thought it was. And it's kind of a partial failure, but also not a failure, is just lights in general. I didn't know how to use lights at all. And so I spent a lot of my time learning how to use the lights and learning that, oh, lights don't do that very well. Or, oh, lights do this pretty well, or that's how you do that. Or, oh, this isn't working, but then later learning that that does work if you do this. I now know enough to do a tutorial or two. So I'd expect a tutorial. I think Godot's 2D lighting system has a lot of potential for a lot of fun to be had. I'm looking forward to using it some more. So learning new stuff takes time, which is useful, but it's also a liability. So what I want to do is I want to figure out how to make the decision ahead of time. So with some projects I might go, hey, this is a learning project, we're going to dive in head first and get in the deep end. And some projects is like, hey, we're going to stick to what I know and we're going to ace this bad boy. So I wanted to have shadows for my tile maps. But I also wanted to be able to see the tiles themselves. But I also wanted my game to be pitch black, for the most part. And a number of those things don't work together, it turns out. You can inverse the culling, I guess it's called. Which basically means that the front faces, rather than the front faces blocking the light, it's the back faces of your occluder that blocks the light. But that just looks like a big grid mess. So as time went on, I became disenchanted with the idea of using shadows on my tiles, and I kind of came to realize that I was either going to have to not use tiles, or I was going to have to not use the shadows the way I wanted to. So I had to pick one or the other. And I ended up picking the tile set without the shadows, mostly because of a time constraint. I already had the tile sets set up, so I could just use those. So as you can see, they're ghosts, so they can move through walls and stuff. Initially, they were going to be these slug creatures, but then I was running out of time, and I was like, do I really want to figure out pathfinding right now? And I was like, no, I don't. Watching the idea evolve for this game was kind of interesting, because it went from like a companion game where you have this ghost in a teacup to like you're shining a light at ghosts, and I don't know what happened, but it was fun. If you're this deep into Game Jam content, you've probably heard the advice, follow the fun. And it's good advice. So yeah. I think maybe I want to do some shorter game jams that are just like one day. The whole week game jam, kind of takes up too much time, I feel like. So if you're interested in this game, I will leave it on itch.io. Yay. So yes, thank you for watching. The subscribe button exists if you're interested. There's also a like button. Yeah, you're welcome.